Bloodlust, the tale of Betty, Alex, and the vampire's reign. Alex had always been intrigued by vampires. The myths and lore surrounding the undead creatures fascinated him, but he never truly believed in their existence until he met Betty. Betty was a local bartender in town, but there was something different about her. She would always wear sunglasses, even inside the dimly lit bar, and she never seemed to age. Despite Betty's mysterious aura, Alex found himself drawn to her. They would often talk about the supernatural over drinks, and Alex would tell her about his deep fascination with vampires. Betty would always smile a knowing smile and nod her head in agreement, but her eyes held a certain darkness that made Alex shiver. One night, after closing time, Betty invited Alex to join her for a walk. She led him to an old graveyard on the outskirts of town, and Alex began to feel uneasy. The graves were old and worn, and the trees cast eerie shadows in the moonlight. But then, Betty pulled out a small vial of blood and offered it to Alex. He hesitated at first, but his curiosity got the better of him, and he took a sip. The blood was warm and metallic, with a hint of sweetness that he couldn't quite place. He felt a rush of energy flow through him, and he suddenly understood why Betty always wore sunglasses. As they walked through the graveyard, Alex began to feel different. His senses were heightened, and he could see in the dark. It was then that Betty revealed her true nature to him. She was a vampire, and she had been watching Alex for a long time. She explained that she was drawn to him because of his intense curiosity, and she offered to turn him into a vampire as well. Alex was hesitant at first, but the allure of immortality was too much to resist. He agreed to become a vampire, and Betty bit him, sending a searing pain through his body. When it was over, Alex felt exhilarated and powerful. For a while, Alex and Betty lived together as vampires, feeding on animals and trying their best to blend in with human society. They would go out at night, wandering the streets in search of prey. But as time passed, Alex began to notice that Betty was changing. She was becoming more aggressive, more violent. She would often disappear for days at a time, returning covered in blood. One night, Betty dragged Alex to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside, they found a group of vampires, all of whom had been turned by Betty. They were a vicious, bloodthirsty gang, and Alex realized with horror that he had made a terrible mistake. He had become part of a cult-like vampire clan, and there was no way out. Alex tried to distance himself from Betty and the other vampires, but they wouldn't let him leave. They saw him as a valuable asset, a fresh set of eyes for hunting prey. Alex tried to resist, but his hunger for blood was too strong. He found himself becoming more like them every day, and he didn't like what he saw. One night, while out on a hunt, Alex stumbled upon a young woman walking alone in the deserted streets. Her name was Sarah, and she was terrified when Alex approached her. He could smell her fear, and something inside him snapped. He lunged at her, sinking his fangs deep into her neck. But as he drank her blood, he began to feel sick. He realized that what he was doing was wrong, that he had become a monster. Alex fled from the other vampires, seeking refuge in the abandoned warehouse where they had all met. But when he arrived, he found that they had been attacked. The walls were covered in blood, and the other vampires were gone. He searched for Betty, but she was nowhere to be found. As he left the warehouse, Alex saw the sun rising over the horizon. He realized that he had been up all night, that he was still alive. He stumbled into the sunlight, expecting to burst into flames. But nothing happened. He was still a vampire, but he had gained a new power. He could walk in daylight. Alex wandered the streets, lost and alone. But he was determined to make things right. He sought out Sarah, the young woman he had attacked, and begged for her forgiveness. To his surprise, she forgave him, and they became friends. As the weeks passed, Alex discovered that he could use his newfound power to help people. He could walk in broad daylight, allowing him to protect those who were vulnerable. He became a protector, a hero to those who knew him. But one day, Betty returned. She had been hiding in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. She wanted Alex back, and she would stop at nothing to get him. In a final showdown, Alex and Betty fought. Alex used his powers to stand up to her, but she was too strong. She pinned him to the ground, her fangs bared. But then, Sarah arrived. She had followed Alex and had seen the whole thing. With a burst of adrenaline, Sarah kicked Betty off of Alex. In the chaos, Alex grabbed Betty's vial of blood and drank it. He felt a surge of power rush through him, and he attacked Betty, driving her away. For a moment, it seemed as though everything was going to be all right. But then, Alex felt a pain in his chest. It was a searing, burning pain that he had never felt before. He looked down, and he saw that his skin was turning to ash. In horror, Alex realized that the vial of blood he had drunk was tainted. It was a trap set by Betty, a poison that would kill him. With his last breath, Alex turned to Sarah and said goodbye. And then he was gone. The ash drifted away on the breeze, leaving only Sarah behind. She wept for Alex, mourned for the man who had become a hero. But she also knew that his legacy would live on. Alex had been a protector, a hero, and he had inspired her to become one too. From that day on, Sarah dedicated her life to protecting the vulnerable. She used Alex's story as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of curiosity and the seductive allure of the supernatural. And as she worked to help others, Sarah knew that Alex was watching over her. He had become a legend, a hero, and a symbol of hope. And in that way, he had achieved immortality after all.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and tell us what you think in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.